Hola, everybody. I want to go over Capricorn season with you guys. It starts tomorrow. I hope everybody enjoyed Sagittarius season and that universal love spirit that we've been getting into, loving others and doing for others and being there for others. So now we get to Capricorn season, and now it's time to come back to ourselves. We done put ourselves out there, we done indulged in things, and now we're coming back to ourselves. So Capricorn season, of course, starts the 22nd to January 19th. The symbol for Capricorns is the goat symbol, and this is a depiction of Capricorn's ability to climb to the top, finish things that they start, the security that they always have for themselves, the stability that they always have for themselves. Goats are symbols of vitality, sensuality, health, and good luck. White goats are good luck. Black goats are not good luck. They're bad luck and is usually dealt with some type of illness or sickness. And ironically, we're going to come back to that later on. Capricorns are self-disciplined. They're responsible, independent. They finish what they start. They have a tendency to be a little too controlling. Strong need for financial security. Family-oriented and punctual. And perfect for any disciplinary type of position like accountant, business person, teaching, executive, any type of position like that. Capricorns definitely thrive in. Warning to Capricorns, and also those who have any type of planet in Capricorn season. The trait with Capricorns is they have a tendency to come across condescending in whatever area they're in. I have my Saturn, my Neptune, and Uranus. They're all in Capricorn for me. So yes, I do. When it comes to those specific areas of my life, like with Saturn, it's kind of like your law for yourself, and Uranus is kind of like the things you hold on to, traditions and stuff. Neptune kind of along the same way. Yeah, I don't have a I have a tendency to not be able to tolerate anything less than what I want to do in those areas in my life, but um can be unforgiving, pessimistic, and Capricorn should try to find a balance between physical and spiritual because there is a tendency to not be able to see past the five senses, can get stuck on like material things. And I can definitely say that for myself because because I'm an earth sign through and through. My sun, moon, Mercury, and Venus, they're all in Virgo, and then my Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn, they're all in Capricorn. So just with that being in mind, just keep in mind not to get too stuck on material things and obtaining material wealth and things like that. Like I said before, Capricorn is an earth sign. This is a sign of balance, stability, a focus on material wealth, obtaining certain material things, a practical sign, grounded and dependable. This is also a cardinal sign. When you say something is a cardinal sign, that means that this is the sign that takes initiative. This is the sign that is usually the first to do something, like a trendsetter type sign. The sign is very self-motivated, ambitious, and active. You don't really need to jumpstart people of this sign or jumpstart like certain things. Like if your Venus is in Capricorn, when it comes to love and finances, you don't really have to be motivated to participate in those active aspects in your life because you have a cardinal sign in that aspect. Moving forward, Saturn provides the law enforcement in the cosmos, also the teacher in the cosmos, with it giving forth karma, discipline, serving to inspire one to reflect on their lessons throughout the year, learning to identify and problem solve some restrictions you may have been putting on yourself throughout the year. As we wind down to the year, we kind of innately already do this. We're starting to wrap up things. We're looking at our income throughout the year. We start planning for our taxes. We're looking at, the things we've done for ourselves physically, emotionally, financially. We're setting new goals for ourselves as a new year. These are definitely things that we already find ourselves doing. So just moving into that and start being more conscientious of what exactly you're doing on a more spiritual level, and not just on a just to keep up with social quo or what everybody else is doing. Really look deep into yourself during this season and make certain changes that need to be made. It also takes, here's a fun fact, it takes Saturn 28 to 30 years to complete its orbit around the zodiac, which is why, like, once you reach 30, you start to have that moment where you're questioning everything you've been doing the first 30 years of your life, and you're like, what am I doing? Why aren't I here in this part of my life? This, that, and third. It's because this law enforcement planet has finally reached a full orbit, and now that it's coming to the end of the orbit, you're reflecting on everything, while Saturn, was where it's been. And then around like 60, your late 50s or 60s, you have like the midlife crisis, where again you're coming through a space and a time where you're reflecting. You're like, oh my gosh, I need to make a change. I've been restricting myself. I've been limiting myself. Now I'm about to go do this, do that, do. So that's a fun fact about Saturn. It's cool how, like, when you learn about these things from a zodiac sense, it really does apply to what we've been doing. Just innately or socially or economically. Anyway, so masculine energy, Saturn is a masculine energy, and masculine energy is more extroverted. It's a more projected energy. It's more concentrated on physical aspects. Which I guess when you think about Capricorns, yeah, they're more extroverted. They're more matter-of-factly with their thoughts. They're more outspoken with the way things should be, the way they think should be, like, order. I have a few Capricorn friends, and I remember, like, our first few conversations, it's always like things should be a certain way, there should be a certain order, discipline, and they're very outspoken about those things, and I appreciate that. Capricorns are really good friends to have, especially if you lack discipline in your life. Definitely get you a Capricorn friend. Saturn also rules over Aquarius. According to the Book of Formation, the letters Ayin and the letters Bet. Ayin is created Capricorn, and Bet created Saturn. In a Hebrew religion, those two letters are controlling this month. Saturn also rules over the 10th house. It's a position, indicates the path that someone will follow in their career and how they appear in their community, success, and authority. So find out what's in your 10th house. This indicates, how you'll go about following your career, and how you go about socializing in the community, the kind of authority figure or the authority position that you prefer to have in your community. In a Vedic astrology, it's called the Bhav, B-H-A-V. Pretty much the same kind of concept. You're reflecting on your career, community, power, authority figure, how motivated you are, how disciplined you are. Not necessarily like what kind of career you will have, or like the small time jobs, because that's more so focused in the 6th house. But this is like your desire, like ultimate desire. Like how would you behave if a position was offered to you? How would you behave if you had to step over somebody to get something done? Or how would you behave as a manager, having to empathize with other people? So pay attention with what's in your 10th house during this time. Also focus on your knees and your hips. A tip is Raj Yoga, R-A-J. Look that up. Try to get into that during the season. Saturn also rules over the 11th house, and this is the house of friends, and how we put ourselves out into the world socially, and what kind of social groups we're in, activities, extracurricular activities, and things like that. I'm really into arts. Obviously, I do everything creative arts. So those are the kind of circles that I'm in. I'm around a bunch of artists more times than I'm not. I'm around a bunch of activists more times than I'm not. People that want to, like, overall change the whole map of how the world operates. That's more so the circles that I'm in. And I guess that's how I put myself out there. I don't know. But anyway, think about that. Reflect on that on yourselves. Desires, goals, dreams, and what kind of friend are you? So look at what's in your 11th house. If you look at whatever's in your 11th house, this is, how you put yourself out there, what kind of social groups you're in. This is the house of Labha, L-A-B-H-A, and the house of gains, prosperity, income, and abundance. So that's cool. When you refer to the Metsunetter book, the 10th sphere, is the actual physical structure, the product, the outcome, and the creation or the achievement of all the other spheres. Once you get to the 10th sphere, you are at the sphere of completion. Whatever it was you were manifesting, now it's in fruition and you're utilizing it. Whatever it was you were creating through those first 9 spheres, it is here now. The 11th, number 11, according to Metu Netter, is the master number. This is your inner teacher spiritual alignment. So, again, coming back to Capricorn season, it's time to go inward. It's time to look at some of your limitations, your restrictions, the boundaries you have created for yourself during the season, and ask yourself, like, are these limitations and restrictions working for me? Are my boundaries maybe a little too much? Maybe I'm blocking myself for some things that I should be allowing in. Maybe a lot of the limitations you make up for yourself prevent you from achieving your goals and achieving the things that you should be seeing into fruition. If you look at where the planet is on your 10th and 11th sphere, ask yourself, am I setting up too many boundaries for myself from achieving these things that are going on or should be going on in my 10th and 11th sphere? This is definitely a good question to ask for yourself.
Hello, Mom.
Yes.
Your mom says she's gone.
Okay.
I think you heard.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. So, Capricorn tarot card, it's the Devil card. Hold on a second. Because nobody closed the door. So, Capricorn tarot card is related to the Devil card, and this is the realm of changing issues. This is when you get to the certain kind of major arcana cards. This is the realm of this card, the change of issue cards. And talking about these cards, we're talking about universal law within your path. Again, coming back to the 10th and 11th sphere. If you draw this card upright, this card is referring to passion, energy, rediscovery. Draw this card in reverse is related to obsessions, addictions, and misguided passion. Queen of Pentacles is also Capricorn tarot, because Queen of Pentacles, the Pentacles card altogether is an earth sign suit of cards, but the Queen of Pentacles is actually my favorite card. But that is the card, to Capricorn. And upright, it means material and maternal instincts. So you have the ability to obtain material and maternal objects easily. You are known for that. You are relied on for that. Reverse, you can be a bit ruthless to get your goals. You may overcompensate for your insecurities. I won't say that I'm ruthless for my goals. I wouldn't walk on anybody or anything like that. But I think sometimes I can get tunnel vision, and I don't really want to be bothered socially or emotionally. I just want to get done what I want to get done. And I'm surrounded by a lot of emotional people, so it can irritate me a bit. But that's about it. Saturn tarot is the World card. Again, a realm of changing issue card, a universal law within your path. Upright, it means total success and commitment, but in reverse, it means a fear of your own success. You feel you may not deserve it. You may be afraid of disappointment. Again, coming back to that concept that it's time to go inward and look at maybe some boundaries or some restrictions that you have been setting for yourself, preventing yourself from achieving certain things that you should be achieving. So again, when you reverse this card, think about those things. Think about some fears that you may have that have been holding you back. Think about, have you been telling yourself you don't deserve whatever it is that you're going for? I do, all the time. It's a very bad habit of mine. Ironically, I watched a video, Bishop T.D. Jakes was talking to Charlemagne, and he was telling him that, you do all these great things, but you need to tell yourself that you're worthy of these great things. Because when you talk about the things you do, you kind of downplay it. And I even read a book about it too, from a woman's standpoint. It was called Girl Stop Apologizing. And when we talk about the things that we achieve, a lot of the times we say, oh, but I'm not doing anything, or oh, it's not a big deal, or or we might not even say anything at all. You might have something super awesome going on, and you don't talk about it to people at all, just because you feel like you're not worthy. You're not worthy to sit there and have that conversation about yourself in a room full of people. You're not worthy of, receiving that positive feedback. You feel like you're not, you're overthinking things. You're overthinking, I don't know. That was a little bit of me. It was cool for me to read that and see that and actually see the video that I saw earlier today, because I definitely resonated with it. It definitely was like a that's definitely a boundary that I put on myself. I don't feel like I deserve to talk about myself or the things that I do. It always seems like small potatoes, or like I'm trying to grab the spotlight, and that's never what I'm trying to do. I don't know. Anyway, so the number 8 is also associated with Saturn. This is the number of material abundance, career success, self balance, of material and spiritual realms, and composed. The number 8, if you look at the number 8, it's composed of 2 whole circles. This is also a sign of infinity, the infinity symbol. On the 8th level of manifestation, you're coming to the part where you're labeling things and you're separating things, and so on and so forth. This is in manifestation. Yeah, you're focusing on labeling. This is when species come into hand. Also, in accordance to Metu Netter, when you're talking about the cosmo of man, when you're at sphere 8, this is identification of demographics. And due to the lack of understanding of spheres 1 through 6 in the tree of life, 8 is where man's ills usually lie. We utilize demographics to a negative aspect rather than just, utilizing them to like label things so you can treat things accordingly. Because we are unable to take away certain biases and that certain attitude between one label versus another. Yeah, we have to get sphere 0 through 6 correct before we can start playing around with sphere 8 to a more spiritual level. Right now, it's just on a physical level. And that's why we have the issues that we have now with all the separation, discrimination, isms, phobias, blah, blah, blah. According to Metu Netter, the colors associated with this season, the color blue, which is the color of wisdom, spirituality, faithfulness, communication, calming. It's also an inspiring color. It's the color of sky and the heavens. Silver is the metal associated with this time. This is the color of sophistication, elegance, gracefulness, industrialization. This is the metal of emotions and psyche. It's also the metal that brings patience and perseverance to the wearer. I have a booklet that I make, and I think I wrote a little excerpt on silver that I can read to you real quick. Okay, so silver is associated with the moon and its goddesses. It is connected with one's emotional and psychic abilities. It reflects negativity and pain away from the wearer. Silver destroys every known virus, fungus, and bacteria. Yeah, because they have silver colloidal, something that they sell in Whole Foods. And I hear about it all the time in like the mommy crunchy groups I'm in. It improves skin health and one's sensitivity to light. It also helps with emotional balance, proper expression, generosity, empathy, and imagination. Silver also gets rid of feelings of helplessness and helps with control or balance. Silver also gives one the ability to see varying qualities of light. It helps to harmonize inner rhythms with nature and promotes medium quality cycles and appreciating traditions. Colloidal silver is the most powerful antibiotic. That's what it is. Colloidal silver is an antibiotic, and crunchy moms put that shit on everything, which is fine. Gray is the color of loss, depression, grief, dull, but it can also be the color of sophistication and conservation. The thing we're gonna get into like the Metu Netter deities, kind of the netters, in a bit. But if you notice that we have silver and gray, which is the color of dull, but also the color of elegance, we kind of deal with like a duality between the two throughout this season. A duality between life and death, joy and optimism and pessimism. I wouldn't use joy. Optimism and pessimism. But it all goes down to going inward and addressing the boundaries and the limitations and the restrictions that you set for yourself. Whatever you do during the season, this definitely will affect how you go out and about your goals. Like more so in the attitude wise, not necessarily physically, like motion wise, but attitude wise, and attitude is everything. If you're walking around thinking you don't deserve something, or you're not going to do good on a test, or you're never going to get that amount of money you're looking for, or you're not going to get out of this situation or get out of that hole, you're not going to do it. So now is definitely the time to go inward and start talking to yourself and saying, hey, where is this feeling coming from? Like, when was the first time I felt this feeling? Or when was the first time I heard this voice? What situation was it? And imagine that situation. And as you're imagining that situation, kind of play with it a little bit in your head. Maybe if it was something somebody said to you a long time ago that made you feel a certain kind of way, and now it's a voice that you play in your head. Like for me, like I had a really mean person in my life when I was a child, and it wasn't the things she did to me, it was more so the things that she used to say to me. And I'm an adult now, and I'm still kind of like learning to like quiet her voice out of my head when I'm feeling bad about myself, and now I'm in a space where I'm healing and things like that. And it's just like, I'm coming to certain instances where I hear the voice, and I'm like trying to, go back and be like, so what was it? Like, when was the first time I heard that voice? What was the situation? And try to play on that situation. Like, imagine her head a certain kind of way with a certain kind of animal head on it. And in the Netsu books, they talk about imagining the people with heads on it. Like, maybe if it was a person that was greedy, maybe have them have a pig head on it, and then show yourself slaughtering that pig or getting rid of it. I know it sounds kind of dark and morbid, but like, do whatever it is that you need to do in your mind to convince yourself that that voice is asinine and that voice is dead and it doesn't exist anymore. You're the only one that exists, and you have power, not the voice. The voice never had power. You just have to learn yours. Anyway, moving forward, green, the color of fertility, hope, peace, friendship, renewal, harmony, and freedom. Is also a color during the season. Of course, Saturday is ruled by Saturn, and Saturday is the day of longevity, grounding, wisdom. Some of the stones for this time is a Pachiteer, which is a psychic protection stone. It helps with emotional grief and grounding. Hematite, which helps improve iron absorption and improves relationships, intuition, and balance. Jet, which is a grounding stone. It's an energy filter. It helps with pain relief and healing. Obsidian, which is a protection stone. It helps the sensitive with depression. And it blocks negative energy. Onyx sharpens the senses, protection against energy, gives confidence. And serpentine, which is a green stone. It kind of looks like a jade, like a raw jade a little bit, but it's healing problem areas. It heals your problem areas. So when you're going inward and you're looking at what it is that causes you to have the mindset that you have, utilize a serpentine stone. It'll help with clearing that problem area. The overall theme, it seems to be with these stones, is you want a black stone. You want a black stone, you want silver metal. That's the overall theme I see. You definitely want to protect your energy during this time, where it's definitely a strong emotional time, because you're kind of at war with, you've been playing in Scorpio season, being motivated by your desires and everything like that. You were playing a Sagittarius season because we were going outward and it was universal love and everything was jolly and we're doing things. But now we're not playing anymore. It's time to, hone in on what's going on, reconstruct that structure in your life, that the skeleton in your life. Is time to restructure that. So it's going to be like a lot of like emotional push and pull, especially if a lot of things that you're reconstructing has to do with your relationships with other people. Some things you need to let go of, some things you need to add on to. Maybe you've been, dragging your feet with certain things, doing certain things, or achieving certain things because you're scared of how it affect people around you. It's time to let that go. It's definitely time to let that go. Patchouli is a good herb during this time. This is good for pain relief. It's antibacterial, antifungal, insecticide, and it's also good for weight loss. It's something that it does when you burn it and you're like breathing it in, and I guess it's something about the smell or something like that, and it kind of like does something to you, and it changes how you eat. I haven't tried it. I've heard about it, and I'm intrigued. I don't really want to lose weight at this. I think I'm at like I'm comfortable with my body. I'm at a space now where I'm comfortable with my body. But I do want to be healthy. Anyway, so staying to Metu Netter, the Netter during the season is Seker, Seker. This was a Memphite god of the dead, also a funerary god. He was in charge of the funeral tools and practices and things like that in Egypt. This god was kind of like conjoint with Ta, Ptah, and Sokar and Osiris at the end, which is supposed to be creation, stability, and death. So this is kind of like the full circle, which brings back the balance of, the gray and silver and going inward and blah, blah, blah. So from a comedic sense, Ta, Amit, Kapir bring all things to manifestation through the 50 sound units, which bring power to the third sphere. And the third sphere is the sphere of creation, because the first sphere, you have the mother, the father, and then the Holy Ghost, or the mom, dad, and the creation. So the third sphere is the sphere of creation. So this is the time where you focus on the 50 sound units to bring forth manifestation. In the Yoruba practice, Babalu A, which is the Orisha of life and death, this was the most feared Orisha. He was a representation of death, also brought plague and illness, but also helped heal those things as well. And from a Catholic standpoint, this Orisha can be mirrored by Saint Lazarus, who was represented by a man with leprosy, whereas Babalu A, he had I forget what I want to say smallpox, but he, same idea. Yep. So Ta was the being. He was in charge of life events. Omnit was part of the spirit to destroy the Ab, and Ab was the housing space of the conscious and the will. And those who did not live in harmony with Maat, Maat. I spell them out because I don't know if I'm pronouncing them correctly, or I know people pronounce things differently. Sometimes it's not a matter of correct or incorrect. But yeah, if you're not living in harmony with Maat, once you pass, Omits will come and take your spirit. It was a video I was watching recently that was talking about people living in accordance to Maat, and how when you die, if you're not living in accordance with them, that's when the parasites like immediately take over. That's why they immediately take like the organs out and stuff like that before the parasites take over the whole body. But if you are living in accordance to those laws, once your body dies, you do have the possibility of coming back to life, which is why Jesus was able to do what he did, and a couple other people, because they lived according to those laws. Now, that was something that I read that I found like super interesting. Of course, you can't prove it anywhere, but somebody let me know if it worked for them. In the Kabbalistical practice, Binah, Binah, refers to the 50 gates. In Canaanite is Amma and Ama. Ama is the fertile mother, while Amma is the dreaded sterile mother. So it's still that balance between life and death. In Hindu Kush is Kali, and she was the woman that had the 50 skulls strung around her necklace, and she was on the boat with the 50 oarsmen pushing the boat, and she was on her way to the 50 gates. So it all still comes back around to the 50 unit sounds for manifestation. And it is also can be mirrored by the 500,000 eggs that a woman is born with. And 5 is also the number of humanity, because we have 5 extremities, 5 fingers, 5 toes. 5 is the number of humanity. So that's pretty cool. When you put all that stuff together. The So all of this is the underlying structure of the divine plan. Provides order and harmony between the interactions of the forces forming the manifestation. So that's basically what this is. This isn't the manifestation itself. This is the skeleton. We're coming back to that skeleton concept of manifestation. This is how we're going to organize the energy, how the energy is going to interact with one another before we bring whatever it is into fruition. So if your structure is not correct, if your skeleton is not correct, your manifestation is not going to come out correct, basically. So yeah, back to it being the third sphere, the sphere of creation. During this time, it's time to focus on the fact that times for eating, exercising, sex, work, and meditation, they must not be dedicated to cravings, feelings, or social economic factors. This is so important, and I think this is where a lot of us lose sight, because a lot of us lack so much discipline, and we've allowed Hollywood, media, and actors and other people who also lack discipline to guide us and teach us what discipline is. And it is none of these things that we're doing. Oh Lord, it's none of these things that we're doing. It makes me tired. Anyway, so all these things that we're doing, it's not because you crave it or you feel like it or you want to or you love him or he wants it or whatever. It's a time and place for everything. God, the supreme being, the universe, Allah, whoever you want to refer to, they have already created a skeleton for us. If we follow the laws and we perform accordingly, the energy that we create will interact correctly, and we will manifest what we're supposed to manifest. But until then, we will not, because we're not even correctly learning the skeleton that was set for us, for the energy to go the way it's supposed to go, for us to have the things that we're supposed to have. You don't eat just because you had a craving or you saw something on TV or somebody told you to try something. You eat when it's time to eat. You don't have sex because you're horny or he horny or you heard the song on the radio or you watched this book or you watched that movie or porn's on, whatever. You have sex when it's time to have sex, and so on and so forth. There's rules to everything, and this is what Capricorn season makes us focus on. This is what Capricorns, these individuals born under the sun, this is what they're here to help us focus on. We do need more discipline. Get you a Capricorn friend. So yeah. The colors associated with this is black, which is the color of gravity, wisdom, elegance, mourning, rest, going inward for your inward journey, your soul, reception, and protection. Indigo is also another color for this season. This is the color of spirituality, wisdom, devotion, creativity, fairness, justice, and dignity. The number 13, is also associated with this time. I guess it's to bring balance, since Saturn is masculine and 13 is actually the number of the feminine. So beautifully, we had Friday the 13th in Sagittarius season, but 13 is the number of the feminine. There's 13 cycles in the moon cycle, and we know that the moon is the feminine energy, and on the 13th day the woman ovulates. Now people say Friday the 13th is unlucky because once upon a time when we were following the laws accordingly and we were following the zodiacs accordingly, Christianity came and said, hey, we don't like this, we don't like these kind of people, and we don't like women. So on Friday the 13th, if they caught women celebrating this day that is for them, this is their holiday, they would kill them. They would kill them in whatever fashion they seem fit. So this became an unlucky day because this was the day we couldn't celebrate what we wanted to celebrate. And this was also the day where if you was caught out there, especially as a woman, you were killed. And that's what turned it into an unlucky day. It wasn't, that's it. Blue sapphire is a stone during this time. This is a stone of celestial hope, faith, protection, fortune, insight, wisdom, and judgment. Onyx is also another stone, which is a soothing stone during emotional turmoil. It releases negativity and guards wearer from evil eye. So we're still, protecting ourselves. Lead is the metal associated with this as well. Again, I'm referring to Metu Netter. I believe this is chapter 22. Follow me on chapter 22. And lead is the metal of death and decay. This is the metal of redemption and transformation, life and death. So again, we're coming back to the Orishas, the deities, and everything that we were talking about before. The third sphere, the balance between those things and creation. In the bath during this time, the best things to put in your bath water are Artemisia vulgaris, Arteisia vulgaris. This plant is good for cough, stomach, intestines, parasites, inflammation, cold, anxiety, and it's good for your heart, helping your heart rate. Like if you have heart palpitations or maybe your heart's too slow, this is good for that. Jerusalem tea. Now I couldn't find anything on that. If anybody knows anything about Jerusalem tea, please let me know, because I wasn't sure if this was just like a nickname term that was just in the book or what. Anyway, bitter broom. This is good for poor blood circulation. If you have gallstones, kidney stones, whatever kind of stones you got up going on. It's also good for constipation and cramps. And it's also good for your menstrual cycle. The oils during the season, according to Mesu Netter still, are myrrh, MYRRH. And this is a good antibacterial, antiseptic, anti-inflammatory. It kills parasites, is grounding, soothing, and good for spiritual awakenings. Cypress, which is also good for connecting the body and mind to an equilibrium to the soul and helping with life changes and extreme emotions. Incense is also, myrrh and cypress is also good, and it also adds southern wood leaves, which is a good antifungal. The spiritual direction during this time is east, and the mundane direction is southwest. So, and I wrote a couple of things, like according to Mesu Netter, the ability to carry out the functions of Seker rely on one's moderation and pleasure. It is weakened by excessiveness or suppression of sensual desires. So for those who are saying, oh, well, I make it so I don't do any of those things at all, suppression is still not equilibrium. You still have to indulge. There are some ways of getting into mediumistic trance when you indulge in certain pleasures. Like, some people know, you can have mediumistic sex, or last season during Sagittarius season, if you ate sweets and sugars, that would help heighten your emotions for that kind of mediumistic trance that was necessary during Sagittarius season. So when you indulge in certain things, just be mindful. Definitely be mindful. I definitely need to read Mesu Netter again, though. Every time I read that book, it's just like mind blowing. Like, I love it. Yeah, I'm gonna do that one again. If you're getting a reading and somebody's using Netter cards, if this is drawn during reading, one must stop moving forward in their goals. It's time to meditate, go inward, quiet the mind, and focus on sensing your goals on a universal level. During this time, Capricorns and people who maybe have some things in Capricorn, if you look at your planets and look at what planets will be affected the most during this season, you may feel some type of coldness or frigidness in that area. You might get too obsessed with things in that area. Just be mindful of that. Still have some type of equilibrium in your life. Don't get too crazy, but it is time to get crazy. They kind of mirror this with the actual like temperature or like climate of Saturn, which is cold and frigid, and it literally rains diamonds, which is pretty cool and interesting because Capricorns are seen as uptight, and then you have like that joke about shitting diamonds because you're uptight, and then you have diamonds are supposed to be good with like memory, right? And this is supposed to be the energy from this planet is supposed to be good. Like, it was something that I read from a Hebrew standpoint, that those born under the sun, they're given the ability of Ayin and Bet, which is the universal wisdom. And they just have to remember it, which goes back to the skeleton, that Saturn reminds us is there, and we have to go back to it so that our energy can function and flow, and our manifestations can occur accordingly. That's a nice tie up. Anyway, so the Northwest, from November 5th to December 21st, which is today, from 9 p.m. on November 5th to December 21st, tonight at midnight, we were focused on Offset. And it was time for mediumistic trance. We were highly receptive during this time, renewed our commitment to identifying our inner self. So tonight, midnight is the last time to, not the last time, you can do it anytime, but this is definitely the time to channel Offset, Allstar, get into tune, make new connections and new promises to getting to know your inner self, because once we get into Capricorn season, now it's time to start creating that, or getting back in tune with that structure to the inner self. So right now we're getting our mindset ready, because like I said, we're about to get to the season where it's time to stop playing. Sweets will heighten this, like I said before, eating sugars and stuff, especially if you don't eat any protein. Impress your will onto your life force. But starting December 21st from midnight to 3 a.m. on February 5th, we will be focusing on the north. This is Seker, again, the dark deceased. We're dealing with life and death. December 21st to the 25th is the winter solstice. This is time fast. So meditate, chant to energize the decisions made during the autumnal equinox. So during November time, November and October, when we were dealing with the harvest and harvesting our goals and, reaping things, now it's time to bring that back to the forefront, because we're working on the skeleton now. So now it's time to bring that back to the forefront. It's time to start talking about that. Like, these were the things I wanted to see in October. These were the things I was manifesting and harvesting under the harvest moon. But now we're at Capricorn, and now it's time to start developing that outline, that structure, that skeleton, to tell you how it's about to get done. Your trance from the previous season, which was Sagittarius season that we spoke on, is focusing your consciousness into the subjective realm so we can get it going. And now that was Metu Netter, wrapping up Metu Netter. Now I want to talk to you about where the planets will be during this season. This is the fun stuff, I guess. You could pull out your natal chart and see where the planets are in conjunct to where the planets were when you were born, and how, they'll interact with one another. Oh, yeah, sure. What's your question? Mercury. Mercury rules over our decision-making mind and how one communicates. Mercury enters Capricorn on the 28th of December at 11:54 p.m. One's mind will be practical, shrewd, ambitious, methodical, and be mindful of narrow-mindedness and being rigid during your communication and how you make your decisions. My Mercury is in Virgo. So with Mercury in Capricorn right now, my Mercury is in Virgo, Leo house. So with Mercury being in Capricorn, I guess it will kind of like, I don't know. I gotta look into that. Venus rules love and finances. Venus was in Capricorn from November 26th to December 19th, where we focused on necessities and convo with purpose and results. Then on the 19th, 20th ish, Venus moved into Aquarius. So now we're dealing with emotional freedom, stretching boundaries. Just be mindful of the boundaries that you're stretching. I have the Pattern app, and I also have Astro Matrix. And ironically, they both told me that in the month of December, during this time right now, I need to focus on gaining my confidence, because during the month of January, I'm going to try to stretch certain boundaries of certain relationships, certain like usual traditions and relationships. I don't know what the fuck that means, but whatever. That's what we're dealing with. We're stretching boundaries with our love and our finances. Just be mindful. We got to meet an equilibrium. Don't overindulge in your emotions, because once you reach a certain level spiritually, you're supposed to be completely separate from your emotions either way. Mars, it rules over instincts, motivations, energy, and desires. Mars was in Scorpio from November 19th up until January 3rd. It'll be in Scorpio. So Mars, you may have been motivated by discipline, sexual, obtaining some type of power. You may have felt passionate, intense, maybe a little obsessed over some things. And then Mars will enter Sagittarius season on the 3rd of January, and one will begin to conduct themselves optimistically, spontaneously, lively, versatile, courteously. They'll be motivated more by their thoughts of others than their thoughts of themselves and gaining power. Jupiter is the planet of generosity, tolerance, law, religion, tradition, order, and business. With Jupiter in Capricorn still, it's been in Capricorn since the 2nd of December. One develops a strong sense of duty, integrity, honesty, mature judgment, and ethics, drive for importance and dignity. Saturn is also in Capricorn. So we have Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn in Capricorn thus far. I mean, before this season is over, that's what's happening. Saturn rules boundaries, restrictions, and responsibilities. Within Capricorn season, you're gonna definitely get like a double reminder on boundaries. The need for self-control, revealing your fears and your responsibilities. Going back to that, what limitations and things have you been putting on yourself? Uranus is focused on individuality, progressiveness, fresh starts, and intuition. Uranus is still in Taurus until April 25th, 2026. So, because Uranus is all about freeness and it's doing over, and Taurus is all about holding on to things, because Taurus is a stubborn earth sign, and Taurus is also the fixed sign. So during this time, you're starting to reflect on things you've been holding on to and you've been stubborn about letting go. Maybe some relationships you guys been in for far too long that it's time to let go. You're just sitting there existing. I know a couple friends like that. Like, what are you doing? We watched our parents dedicate themselves to 10-year relationships unhappily. Let's not do it to ourselves. You may have had some family traditions that we're just stuck on to, like this fucking Christmas shit. I hate this shit, bro. I hate this fucking holiday. I love the pagan part of it. I love the Sagittarius season and Capricorn season, all that stuff part of it. I just like the consumerism and the gifts and the landfills that we're filling up with the wrapping paper and the boxes, and it makes my heart hurt. I hate it. I hate it. I can't wait till we give up this tradition. Can't wait till we stop giving Walmart and Amazon all our bread every couple days during the quarter. Like, aren't y'all tired of just being numbers? Because that's all they looking at us as is numbers, and we just move like ants in a maze. Like, wherever they tell us to go, we just go. And so, anyway, so hopefully during Taurus season up until 2026, we let all this shit go. Let's let go all this overconsumption. It's disgusting. It's not okay, and it's going to be the demise of us all. Your baby not going to be able to breathe or drink water, but at least they'll have a closet full of toys and sneakers, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. And did you know that all that fast fashion stuff is made out of oil? I did not know that. That's not cool. And a lot of people are wearing that stuff and buying that stuff repeatedly. And every time you turn around, it's a new outfit being made. And people are mass selling it and mass producing it. That mass production stuff is crazy. So crazy. Anyway, let's let all that shit go. And retrograde, it's actually in retrograde now. So you feel more of a pull to let things go. And that's going to end on January 9th. Neptune rules over the subconscious, the dreams, inspiration, psychic sensitivity. And Neptune is currently in Pisces. So, illusions that have been created for pleasure. You may feel some psychic moments and dreams of the future. So we're in everybody, well, yeah, you see that people are becoming more spiritual. People are going more inward and becoming more in tune with things. I see more crystal makers, people getting into metal works, which is good. Metal is just as important as the stones. For those who are making organized, be mindful, because the actual liquid part is the carbon that is the organic material. I see so many people getting into these things. I see more people getting into plants and medicine. So yeah, we are getting to this point where we are becoming more psychic related, more intuitive. Just be mindful of the illusions that we're creating. Somebody made a really good point on Facebook a couple days ago, a Jamaican woman, about how, we don't seek to our elders anymore for a past. Once upon a time, you had to learn, you had to read, you had to study, you had to learn for years. Then you had to go to your elders and you had to get permission to even call yourself an apprentice. And now you have people that read a couple things on Facebook and they're walking around with titles that they don't even fully understand. Like, and I'll admit, I've done it. But my desire to learn won't allow me to stay in it. And my discipline won't let me stay in it. I don't like to stay wrong. I'm not comfortable with having just enough facts to carry out an argument. I don't like to argue. I like to share ideas. I don't know if people notice when y'all try to debate with me, I just stop talking to y'all, because you're not going to convince me shit. And I have zero desire to try to convince you anything. So, like, yeah. I don't communicate to debate. I just express and then I keep it moving. You take it how you want. But yeah. So just be mindful of the illusions that you're creating for your pleasure. Don't just walk around calling yourself things. Really study, really go inward, really learn the skeleton, the structure for whatever it is that you're trying to do, for whatever it is you're trying to bring into the world. Just be careful. Everything takes years. Like, I've been doing this for years. I've been doing this for like 5 or 6 years. And I didn't start making videos until a few months ago after doing it for 5 years. So, like, yeah, just take your time. Definitely care. Pluto is a planet of rebirth, new beginnings, growth, and power. Pluto is also in Capricorn. So we have, what do we have? We have Venus. No, Venus not in Capricorn no more. Jupiter, Saturn, and now Pluto. Pluto been in Capricorn now. Capricorn. So the misuse and disorganizations of power come to light for reconstruction, which is happening. You had that whole impeachment thing coming to light. All these court cases. I think certain intentions with some of these court cases are more selfish than we want to believe, because we want to believe that certain things, again, be mindful of the illusions being created. We want to believe that certain reformations is happening, especially Black people, but I honestly don't believe in integration. I believe that we can coexist without integration, and we really need our own shit. We need our own land, our own law, our own justice system, our own healthcare system, our own government system, our own education system. We need all of that by ourselves, because we are different. We are physiologically different, and that makes a big difference. We can coexist and do our part, but we need to be separate while we do our part. And we'll come see y'all on weekends, or y'all can come to the clubs. I don't know. But we need our own shit. This whole integration thing is trash. Like, we'll sit here and say, oh, y'all racist. Y'all not, like this whole Orlando Jones thing. Oh, y'all racist. Y'all took the one God that represent the Africans and us overcoming things and things like that. Y'all take away. But ultimately, people don't even realize they're just begging for another job from these people. Like, give me another job. Give me a better job. Give me my job back. Like, you don't realize you're telling somebody they ain't shit, they racist, they're not going to do you right, and you're turning around and begging them for something at the same time? That makes no sense. You can't recognize people being how they are and people consistently interacting with you the way they do, and then turn around and beg them for things and expect those things to be honored. They're never going to be honored. We have to do our own, and it's not with hate. Don't do shit with hate, because when you do it with hate, that you're going to get hate back in a different way. No, we do it because we love each other, and we know each other need better. I know that my Black mothers need better healthcare. I know my Black fathers need better healthcare. I know that these Black children need better education. All this stuff need better, and we're not going to get it from people that hate us. We're not going to get it from people who don't even want to bother to research us or care about us or learn our culture or learn our physiological matter, because they want to keep saying that we're the same. We're never going to learn it through them. We're never going to get that through them, because they don't even bother to look at us. They look through us and say, "Oh, I don't see color." They're not even looking at us. So you're not going to get those things from them. Stop begging. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Stop it. Anyway, so the new moon. The new moon is kind of funny. I've been getting random dates. It's really disappointing how unorganized, well, not unorganized, how much false information is on the internet right now. Please be mindful of your sources. Be mindful of the memes that you're, reposting or whatever, because a lot of misinformation around about the moons and the planets. But the new moon is supposed to be between the 25th and the 26th. The 100% new moon is on the 26th. And this is when the eclipse will occur. The moon will be in Capricorn. So we'll have 3 planets and the moon in Capricorn. It's definitely a time to, create new beginnings, a clean slate, and set goals and create that skeleton for yourself. Go over your limitations, your boundaries of your inner self, and rearrange to achieve your goals. The full moon will be on the 10th of January, and this is the moon of celebration, cleansing, recharging, and also set your goals. This is the full wolf moon, because in the Native American heritage, this was the time where you could hear the wolves crying. This is time where it's dark in the winter. The full moon will be in Cancer, so you will feel overly emotional. You may want to start fighting to get out of that winter shell you've built for yourself. It's a good time to get together with your loved ones, your associates, and your neighbors, which Cancers are good for. They're very loving people, but you got to get them out their shell first. So get up out your shell first. And Marcel, hold on. You have been trying to get aligned with the universe and stay aligned with it. You have tried everything. How do I get in alignment with the universe and stay in alignment? Now, okay, so I'll give you a story. I don't know if you ever read Metu Netter, but I'm going to butcher the names. But there was 2 gods. One was pretty much left brain and the other one was right brain. So the right brain took the left brain god Asar and murdered him, chopped his body up into 13 pieces and spread it out. 13 or 14 and spread them out. The mother or the sister, forget. I want to say the sister, gathered the pieces, wrapped them in a shroud, and put them in the river. And then he became one again. The 2 guys went back and forth duel. Ultimately, it was a stalemate. And at the end of the stalemate, it was like, okay, so now the right brain, whatever tools that the right brain utilized to spread their separation and things like that, the left brain was now going to utilize that same tool, but spread unity. So it was a stalemate, and one learned how to utilize the other. So, all that to say, it's going to be a stalemate. Being aligned with the universe is a consistent battle. Being aligned with the universe is close my door. Being aligned with the universe is a consistent battle. It's a constant battle, and you're not going to win every day. You live your life. There's too many days in your life. It's going to be some days where you're not aligned, and that's okay. It's not about perfection. It's about trying. It's about the effort. And some days you're just not going to feel it. Some days your energy is going to be off. Some days it's not. And in all honesty, the universe is not always stable. It's not the universe you want to align with. It's yourself, kind of. Let me think. Because I'm not always aligned every day. Some days I wake up and I'm sad, but I've learned how to recognize those things. And I think that's the best part, because once upon a time, I didn't know how to recognize those things. I would be sad and I would just let myself be sad. And I would never notice it, because to me, I'm thinking I'm only sad for a couple hours, but I would be sad for days. And I wasn't a stalemate. A stalemate is when it's like a tie. It's a draw. 50-50. Yeah, it's going to be some days that you wake up and you don't feel aligned. But the fact that you can even recognize it is progress in itself. So you recognize it. You recognize that thing. I'm not exactly sure what it is in particular you find yourself out of alignment with. In my reality, I think it's me feeling worthy of the things worthy enough to speak on things. It took a lot for me to start making videos. I would just hoard knowledge. I would just hoard the books I read. I would just hoard my art because I didn't feel worthy of putting it out. It was a lot of fears on that. I put a lot of limitations on myself, but that's because I didn't feel a full balance of who I was. And I still don't. Some, like, my song came out last night and I didn't feel worthy of any type of response from anybody. So, I mean, alignment is not something that you're going to feel every day. I hope that was helpful. It didn't sound helpful coming out my mouth. But yeah, it's not something you do want to be aligned with the universe. Erase what I said before too. I was just rambling. You do want to be aligned with the universe because the universe is synonymous with God, and that does go back to the skeleton and the structure I was saying in the laws of Mott. Have you read the laws of Mott? Read those. Read the laws of Mott. Read Metu Netter Volume 1. Get real familiar with the different spheres and what they mean in terms of the acts of creation, the acts of manifestation, meditation, and also the netters associated, because that will help you identify when things are off. And when you can identify when things are off, you can fix it. But there's never going to be a period of time for the rest of your life where you no longer have to fix things. That's never going to happen. I don't know if that's what you were looking for, but that doesn't happen. It's always going to be things to fix. Like, we had Jesus, we had a handful of Jesuses, we've had a handful of Selassies, we've had a handful of Moseses, we've had a handful of all of them, and you could read about these people and honestly say you don't agree with everything they did, you don't agree with everything they said, you don't agree with everything they manifested, because they weren't always aligned with us, other people, and they weren't always aligned with themselves either. So, yeah, don't have the expectation that you're supposed to reach some level of perfection to where you no longer have to work on yourself, because that's when you'll fall stagnant and you'll fall the hardest, because that's hubris. But that's all I have. That's what Capricorn season is looking like. I'm glad I could help. If you want, you can definitely message me. Anybody can message me. I don't charge to talk to people. I think love should be free. If you have questions about anything, we could definitely like talk it through. Because when I'm talking to other people, it helps me too. It's also a revelation to me too. I don't feel like there's accidents. I don't feel like you accidentally asked me that. I think that was cool that you asked me that, because it made me have to reflect on the things that I was saying and my thoughts on alignment and stuff like that. And that's necessary because it's about to be Capricorn season, so it's something that we need to do anyway, right? So yeah. Yep. All right. Good night, everybody.